Hi, my name is Chelsea Benson, and I'm a Master's of Arts in Teaching graduate candidate. Today I'm going to be talking about an instructional plan that's set up for a student named Luke. He's an 18-year-old 11th grader, and his IEP level of function is first grade for math, and so this is going to be a math lesson. The lesson is titled Adding Sweets, and it's using single digit addition with the touch math model. And so I have the touch math cards that Luke will have for us to use, as well as the touch math numbers in 0 through 9. We also have a number chart that is available for Luke to use. And so when I set up the lesson, the first thing that I will do is set up a problem, and I'm going to use the problem 6 plus 4. And so I will give Luke these two numbers, as well as give him 6 of these Tootsie Rolls that go with the number 6, and 4 Tootsie Rolls that go with the number 4. And I'll say to him, okay, Luke, so if I have these 4 Tootsie Rolls and you have these 6 Tootsie Rolls and we put them together, how many Tootsie Rolls would you have? And so I would let him count the Tootsie Rolls, and I would say, okay, count these 4 first and then count these 6. And then I will explain to Luke that 4 and 6 are both add-ins in this math problem, and that when he finds the answer as 10, that is the sum. I will then reverse the numbers. So if he has 4 on one side and 6 on the other side, I'm going to reverse those numbers and talk to him about the commutative property of addition, that it doesn't matter which order the numbers are in. When you add the add-ins together, the sum is always the same. And so then I will have Luke go back over that. I'll also show Luke how to use the touch points. So if you're counting, if you're looking at this 4, you'll say 1, 2, 3, 4. Whereas if you have 8, you'll say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And we will practice that. So we'll practice that with all of the numbers. See, the 0 doesn't have any touch points, so if you have a problem where you're adding 0 and another number, you won't touch anything on 0. And then we'll show him all the numbers, and we'll practice counting the touch points. We'll go over vocabulary words. We're going to talk about the words add and addition. We're going to talk about how each of the symbols for the numbers is called a digit. Talk about equations, numbers, and that those are a count or a measurement. Numerals are symbols to represent numbers. The sum. And then we will talk about the associative and the commutative properties of addition. I will also give Luke a copy of the vocabulary words for him to review. That way he can refer to that if he has trouble remembering what something means. He can refer to that. Luke will be assessed on, Luke's IEP goal states, following instruction, Luke will use skills taught through touch math to solve problems involving addition, subtraction, multiplication with 80% accuracy on 3 consecutive weekly assessments by the end of the 2018-2019 school year. The objective for this lesson is, when given 10 single-digit addition problems, Luke will complete the assignment using touch math as measured with 80% accuracy for the first 9 weeks. So I have 3 different 10-question formative assessments that we will use using the touch math for Luke to assess his knowledge and learning of the single digit addition. And then at the end of those 3 weeks, when he has completed this lesson and learning session with 80% accuracy, he will also be given a summative assessment, which consists of 15 questions, 10 of which are the math problems and 5 of which are multiple choice definitions with 2 choices per definition. So he will be given these assessments. He will have 15-minute blocks to work on his assessments. He has ADHD, and so he doesn't sit still well for a very long period of time before he starts to get antsy and frustrated. And so to accommodate for that, we will teach in 15-minute blocks and then provide him with a break in between so that he doesn't get so restless and antsy, and that will help enhance his learning. So Luke will be given a set of the touch math number cards, and he will also have access to the manipulatives to use while he's working on his math assignments. He'll be instructed on how to use the cards, how to count the value of the numbers represented, and then he will be given time to practice with the teacher. And then after the lesson is taught, he will also be given ample time to work with his paraprofessional one-on-one to practice the skills. Luke also has occupational therapy, and so the occupational therapist will work with Luke specifically with the manipulative numbers as fine motor skill enhancement and to practice counting the value of those numbers. For instructional resources, I have the assessments that I've made. We'll work with some different worksheets so that Luke has different problems to practice. Luke loves Tootsie Rolls, so I will bring him a handful of Tootsie Rolls and we can practice counting the Tootsie Rolls, and then afterwards he can have the Tootsie Rolls as a reward. He works very well on a reward system, and so that's something that I can do to enhance his learning and keep him focused on practicing and learning how to do addition. He also really enjoys playing on his phone, and so I will show him how he can use the calculator on his phone to add things together. So if he is out and about and he wants to count pencils that he has, he can count how many pencils he has and add it with how many pens he has and come up with the sum total of that, and he can put those numbers in on his calculator. That gives him something to do on his phone, which he enjoys, and also enhances that learning, kind of brings it into the real world for him. To close out our math teaching instructional session with Luke, I will set another problem for him. I will set, this time I think I will set a 3-digit problem. So I could say 3 plus 5 plus 2 and have him count that, and the answer is still 10, and so I would have him count that up, and then I would change the order up and say maybe 3 plus 5 plus 2. Change the order and remind him of the 2 properties of addition that we discussed. And then I would ask Luke to identify what the numbers are. So 5, 3, and 2, I would ask him, are these add-ins or are these the sum? And hopefully he would tell me that 5, 3, and 2 are the add-ins and that the sum is 10. And that's another way for me to gauge if he's learning, if what I'm trying to teach him, if that is clicking in his mind and making sense. If it's not, then we would obviously want to find a different way to teach him so that he was understanding the information that was being presented. And like I said, everything will be broken down into 15-minute segments for Luke, because that is the maximum amount of time that he is able to focus on a piece of classwork. He has ADHD, and that 15 minutes is a good time frame for him to participate and learn and not get frustrated. Another way that we can bring this into the real world, into real life situations for him to practice and things to make sense, is we can ask him when he's in class to count the number of girls in class and count the number of boys in class, and then add that number up on his phone and find the sum total of students in his classroom. We can also have him come up with some survey type questions and ask his peers different questions, and then add together their answers and see, if we can improve some of his social skills with talking to students his age, and really kind of promote some holistic education with that. Also, I would only let Luke have one piece of candy at a time instead of the whole thing. He can eat one piece of candy during each of his breaks. That way he doesn't get a stomach ache. I don't want that. I'm a nurse, but I don't do vomit. So we're not going to have everybody getting sick from eating candy in Miss Chelsea's class. Thank you.